Mystical Sleep presents The Enchanted Rose, a story of love, secrets, and redemption. For more stories like this, please like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments if there are other types of stories that you'd like to hear. Now, let's hear about Rose and Xavier. The village of Willowdale sat nestled in the rolling hills like a precious gem in a sea of green, and like a diamond, it had its own unique brilliance, one that shone the brightest in the form of a young woman named Rose. She was a ray of sunshine, her laughter like a melody that could chase away any storm clouds. But like all gems, she had a hidden depth, a shyness that kept her from fully embracing matters of the heart. One day, a dark and mysterious stranger by the name of Xavier wandered into the village. He was like a storm cloud on the horizon, promising adventure and uncertainty. Despite her initial reservations, Rose found herself drawn to him. She couldn't shake the feeling that their paths were meant to cross. Xavier first met Rose on a sunny afternoon while he was wandering through the village lost in thought. She was sitting on a park bench, reading a book with a serene look on her face. As Xavier passed by, he couldn't help but notice the way the sun caught Rose's golden hair and how her eyes sparkled with a hint of mischief. Intrigued, Xavier decided to sit down next to her on the bench. They struck up a conversation about the book Rose was reading and discovered that they shared a love for adventure novels. As they talked, Xavier couldn't help but feel a real pull towards Rose. She was kind, intelligent, and had a contagious laugh that made him feel like he had known her for a lifetime. As their friendship grew, Xavier found himself wanting to spend more and more time with Rose. He would often come up with excuses to be near her, to hear her laugh and to see her smile. But as much as he was falling for her, he was also terrified. He had never let anyone in before, not since his past had come back to haunt him. But Rose was different. She was patient and understanding, and she never pushed him to open up. Instead, she simply waited, and he found himself wanting to trust her with his secrets. As they spent more time together, they started to discover that they had a deeper connection than just a shared love of books. They had an undeniable chemistry, and the more they spent together, the more they realized they were falling in love. They would often go on adventures together, exploring the countryside and getting lost in the beauty of nature. They would share their dreams and secrets, and they found themselves becoming each other's safe haven. Xavier had kept his dark past locked away for so long, but as his love for Rose grew stronger, he knew that it was time to let her in. He had never opened up to anyone before, and the thought of telling her made his heart race with fear and anxiety. One evening, as they sat by the river watching the sunset, he mustered up the courage to tell her. He began by telling her about his childhood, growing up in poverty, and how he had to fight for everything he had. He spoke of the dark shadows that haunted him, of the demons that whispered in his ear, and the guilt that ate away at him. As he spoke, Rose listened with a look of compassion and understanding on her face. She didn't judge him or try to fix him. She simply listened and held his hand. However, as he continued, her expression changed when he revealed that he had been involved in a robbery that went wrong, resulting in the death of an innocent person. He spoke of the guilt that consumed him and the shame that he felt for what he had done. Rose could see the weight of his past on his shoulders, and the way it had shaped him into the man he was today. She could feel the conflict within her. On one hand, she wanted to be there for him and to help him heal. But on the other, she was afraid of how deep his pain went and how it would affect their future together. When he finished speaking, there was a heavy silence between them. Xavier waited anxiously for her response, unsure of what she was thinking or feeling. But then she turned to him and looked into his eyes and said, "Xavier, I'm so sorry that you had to go through all that, but I'm here for you and I love you. We'll face it together." She then leaned in and kissed him. The kiss was filled with all the emotions that they both were feeling: love, fear, pain, and hope. Xavier felt like a weight had been lifted off of his shoulders, and he knew that he could face anything with Rose by his side. Their love was like a rose. It had grown from a small seed, nurtured by the sun and rain, and now it was blooming into something beautiful, despite the thorns of the past. Xavier and Rose's love had been through a lot, but it had only grown stronger. They had faced his past together, and now they were ready to move forward. They knew that there would be challenges, but they were determined to face them together. They spent their days exploring the village, holding hands and laughing. They talked about their future and made plans to travel the world together. They knew that they had found something special, and they cherished every moment they spent together. As they walked through the streets, they came across a small flower shop. Xavier turned to Rose and said, "I've been thinking about something for a while now, and I want to do it now." He then knelt down on one knee and pulled out a small box. He opened it to reveal a beautiful ring nestled inside. "Rose, will you marry me?" he asked, looking up at her with love in his eyes. Rose was taken aback, but she didn't hesitate. She smiled and said, "Yes, Xavier, I will marry you." They were on the path of a storybook ending. However, the reality of Xavier's past caught up with them. Xavier and Rose were sitting on a park bench, watching the world go by. They were holding hands, content in their love for each other. Suddenly, they heard shouting and commotion coming from a nearby alleyway. Curious, they got up to investigate. As they peered into the alley, they saw a group of men roughing up another man. The man was on the ground, pleading for mercy, but the attackers were relentless. Xavier and Rose watched in horror as one of the attackers pulled out a gun and aimed it at the man's head. At the sight of Xavier and Rose, the attackers ran away. But Rose's heart sank as she realized the similarity between this scene and the one that had haunted Xavier for so long. The guilt and shame that she saw etched on Xavier's face told her that he was thinking the same thing. "We can't live like this," she said, tears running down her face. "We have to face the past." Xavier shook his head. "I can't, Rose. I can't go to prison." Rose's determination grew stronger. "Xavier, you have to turn yourself in. It's the right thing to do. We can't keep running from your past. It will always catch up with us. You have to take responsibility for your actions." Xavier looked at Rose, and in that moment he knew that she was right. He couldn't keep running. He couldn't abandon the memory of the innocent man he harmed because of his past mistakes. He had to face his demons and make amends. With a heavy heart, Xavier turned himself into the authorities. And as he was led away in handcuffs, Rose knew that it was better to have embraced love fully, even if it meant experiencing loss. Their love was like a lighthouse, guiding them through the stormy seas of life, always shining bright and true. even in the darkest moments. Rose knew that their love story wasn't over, but it was going to be a different kind of story now. She was ready to wait for Xavier and be there for him every step of the way. She learned that true love is not only about being together, but also about supporting each other through difficult times and embracing the beauty of love, even in its darkest moments. It's better to face the darkness, to embrace the unknown, than to live in the shadows of our past. Rose murmured that to herself as she spent the next 10 years waiting for love's warm embrace again. Good night.